My guest this afternoon is none other than Monica T. Centeno, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. All the better for having you here.
Thanks.
Absolutely. For those of you who may not know, because you may have missed her first appearance on this show, Monica is a lawyer, and she specializes in issues to do with modifying and changing mortgages and loans. She helps people who get in trouble or who have found themselves in trouble and their homes perhaps are in jeopardy. And what Monica does is assist them one family at a time to get out of trouble. You may or may not have had problems with your home and your mortgage, but more likely you have than not. My understanding is that last month alone, 1 in 53 homeowners in Las Vegas got a notice of a foreclosure. 1 in 53 last month alone. And that currently 1 in 13 mortgages is in trouble. 4,000 total last month. Wow. Monica, you can talk. You don't have to write me notes. Your mic is live.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but
interrupt me.
4,000 notices of default last month, just in one month. That's over 300 a day.
That's too scary.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What happens when I miss my mortgage payments?
Well, the bank is going to start collection activity is the first thing. They're going to call you until you just dread the phone ringing. And they're going to want to know. They have one agenda when the collection people call. It's, when are you going to make a payment? They really don't want to hear about your circumstances. They're just going to continue to ask the same question over and over. When are you going to make a payment? When are you going to make a payment? When can we expect payment? If you make the payment and they're successful in getting that money from you, they'll go away until you miss the next payment. But the foreclosure process doesn't really start until you miss 4 house payments. After the 4th missed payment, that's when the legal notice of default is filed with the recorder's office, and then you get all the notices in the mail and the clock starts ticking toward a sale date.
What happens if I get a letter from a lender and I'm having trouble making my payments because maybe I got laid off from my job or downsized somehow, got my salary cut, whatever?
Well, what happens really depends on what you do with that notice, and I think it's important to distinguish between a notice of default and a legal notice of default. Like, you'll get a notice from the bank that's like a letter that says, we're going to start foreclosure activity. This is a notice that your loan is in default. It's not the legal notice for which that triggers the clock. So when you get the legal notice of default that triggers that clock, you can't miss it. They'll send you in every name that you ever, Monica T. Centeno. They'll say it, Monica Centeno. If someone ever ran my credit and they put Monica R. Centeno, I'll get a notice in every name. It's the same notice you get to your house, and then, of course, you got to go sign at the post office for it.
Wow. Monica, getting back to the business of helping with home loans and saving homes and that sort of thing, you can't ignore the letters from your lender. And I know that lenders have what they call a loss mitigation department.
Yes.
And is it your belief that folks should get in touch with them, be proactive rather than reactive?
Oh, I think absolutely. You can ignore a problem, but it doesn't make it go away. So I think that they should contact their lender. It's often a very frustrating experience because even for the homeowner, because contacting the lender, again, dealing with a bank is like dealing with an onion. The first layer, the closer you get to the center, the more you're going to cry because that first layer of people is the collection department. When you call them and they just want to know when and how are you going to pay. And they say, I actually had a client that they said, why don't you go get a job at Target? She said, my house payment is $7,000 a month. I don't think I'll make enough money at Target. They just are really not very compassionate and not willing to work with you on that first level. And oftentimes you get routed to India, and they're nice people, but they're reading off of a script and they're saying the same thing to you over and over, and they're not hearing you.
So how do you cut through that?
And that can be a very frustrating. Well, you have to really be a very determined homeowner, or you got to get a lawyer. Because even a loan modification company, I have a lot of companies that say to me, we need a lawyer because they're just not paying attention to us. Are you willing to be that lawyer? Of course, I'm not. But, a homeowner or a loan modification company can only threaten to sue you and threaten to get a lawyer. I can actually just file a lawsuit. And that makes a difference. So they tend to really pay attention more to the lawyer than anybody else.
All right, Monica, let's go to the phones. We have a caller. Who's on the line?
This is Florence.
Hi, Florence.
Hi,
Welcome to
Florence.
the show.
Thank you. Listen, I'm going to short sale my house. I'm 4 months behind in the payments, and I'm wondering if the bank approves the short sale, what happens to the 4 payments that I'm behind? Am I going to have to fork that over, or does that get sucked up in the bargain, in the deal?
Well, there's a few things that could happen in a short sale. They're not going to make you fork it over in order to close the deal, but they will have to deal with a deficiency. They could write it off and send you an income statement for which you may or may not have tax liability, or they could ask you to sign a promissory note to pay some of that back, or they could just forgive the debt and settle it in full for the amount that they're going to get on the short sales. So you will not have to come out of pocket at the closing with those 4 payments, but depending on how the bank decides to deal with the deficiency, you may be responsible later.
Okay, and then I was thinking, I'm really underwater, so I'm selling it really cheap. So what would be wrong with the short refi? And then just let me keep the house, just lower the payment. So what, the new
The
buyer's going to be paying?
The short refi program is really a fantasy in Nevada, and that is because in order to qualify for the short refinance program, you can only owe 125% of the amount that your house is worth today. So if your house is worth $100,000, you can only owe $125 to qualify for the program. Most people are much more underwater than just 25%. So, a lot of people have lost, $100,000 or $200,000, and that's much more than the amount. So they just don't qualify for the program.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Hey, thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're most
Bye.
welcome. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for
You have
calling.
a wonderful day, and good luck with your situation. All right. I think we have a caller coming on the line here. Just 1 second. Yes, we do. All right. Who's on the line?
Yes, I have a question about the IRS liability of a foreclosure.
Sure. What is your name?
Steve.
Hi, Steve. All right, Monica, what's the answer? IRS, something to do with the IRS and foreclosure, the liability? You're talking about, for example, if you short sell a house and there's a difference in the money, are you going to get a 1099? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, if
This
you...
is a house that I live in, or used to live in.
Okay, a house that you used to live in, did you short sale or foreclose, or what was the situation?
I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Okay. Did you ever refinance that property?
Yes.
And did you take cash out?
Yes.
Okay. I will preface this by saying that I am not a tax attorney, but my understanding of the tax code is this. If you used all of the loan money to purchase the home, and they send you an income statement, you will qualify for an exemption and have no tax liability. If you took any money out in cash and did not use it for a capital improvement, and a capital improvement is something that improves the value or increases the value of the house. It is not a repair. It's putting in a pool, adding a room. Then the amount that you invested in the capital improvement, you will not be taxed on, and you will be taxed on the remainder of whatever cash you took in your hand and did not use for capital improvements. If you took all the money out and invested in a business or bought another property or went on a vacation, you may have tax liability. You may pay income tax on that money.
Okay, mainly I was concerned about the money that the difference between what I owe and what they sell it for.
Right. You will have you may qualify for the exemption for that amount.
Okay.
If they decide,
But not
if they
the
send you, right, if they send you an income statement. Now, if they decide to pursue you and sue you for the deficiency and actually come after you, that's a different set of circumstances. That's not tax liability. That's liability on a contract for a breach.
Oh, okay.
But with Monica,
right.
with credit cards, if you negotiate a settlement on a credit card, it is possible that you would be sent a 1099 for the difference.
Absolutely.
But then my understanding about, I don't know if that happens with real estate as well, but my understanding is if that happened to someone, he or she might be able to send a letter of hardship and to the IRS and get that taken away as well.
I've not heard of that. I'm sure it's possible, but that's a little bit beyond what I do. as I said, I'm not a tax attorney.
Okay. No, you're doing great by me so
Thanks.
far. I'm happy with that.